Hello, my name is Kamran, and today we will discuss how to configure InnoDB cluster on a Linux platform. In our previous videos, we have successfully installed Linux, and then we installed MySQL as a standalone database. Uh, let us start. We have three nodes. On each node, we will add them in the cluster, which will act as an InnoDB cluster, and then we will configure router uh, on one of the machine. The recommended approach is to have the router on the application nodes. If you have one or two or three application nodes, then you can configure router on each of the application node. But here we have a test environment, then we can only check the connectivity to configure the router on only one node for demonstration purpose only. Okay, so let's start. We have already installed the MySQL RPMs, and MySQL is running perfectly on each of the node. If you want to install or learn how to um, install MySQL on each of the node, then I will share the link here, and then you can access that video to have MySQL installed on each of the VM. So configure this machine for to be used in the InnoDB cluster. We will first check its compatibility or eligibility, and then we will configure this instance for the InnoDB cluster. Okay, first we will install the RPM, which I already have here. MysqlShell. Okay, MySQL is a very powerful tool with Python and JavaScript modes. So you can switch to each any mode and to have Python mode or to have JavaScript mode. And uh, in the SQL, it has very powerful APIs, and which will make your life very easier. Okay, MySQL shell is installed on this machine. We will install it on other machine as well. Okay, so you need to have the firewall D and SE Linux disabled, because you will face some issues during the configuration if you have enabled those. Let me check its status. No, it's disabled, and we need to check the SE status. It is also disabled. If SE Linux is enabled, then you need to change this into disabled. By default, it is enforcing. You need to disable it and then restart your machine. Okay, so MySQL shell is installed. Now we will check. We will connect to the MySQL shell, and we'll check the configuration using this command dbl check instance configuration. Okay, the password is, you will save it. Okay, when you check the instance configuration, it will tell you that root is not used for remote connections, and it only recommended for local connection. To have a user to manage the cluster and to have some administrative task on the in the cluster, we will create another user during the configuration configure instance. So when we do the configure instance command, it will tell us if you want to have the root user with the remote connection privileges and grant those privileges. So I mean, it is not recommended then, so we will not use it. We will use another user with some minimal required grants to have InnoDB cluster configure. So we will go with the 2. Okay, so we will have user cadmin, and we will have a password. Okay, so it will tell you that these are some parameters which needs to be fixed, and some configuration needs to be fixed, and then restart your instance. So yes and yes. Okay, so it says that the instance was configured to be used in an InnoDB cluster. So this is now configured. Now we will create a cluster, and then we will add the other two nodes. Okay, now we will connect using the cadmin. Sorry. The cadmin user is created for the cluster configuration. So we will use that, and password is MySQL. So we will connect to the cadmin user. Password is MysqL.02. You want to save the password? Yes. Okay, so it's connected to the cadmin user. Now we will check the configuration again. db.check instance configuration. So its status is okay, and it says that this node is a valid node to be used for the InnoDB cluster. Now we will create the cluster. This is the command to create the cluster. We will use this name. This is, you can input any name, provide any name to have a cluster name. So this cluster is created with this name, and it says that it has to have a 3 instance to have a valid cluster. So so we will add the other 2 nodes as well, and then we will have a valid InnoDB cluster. Okay, let's check the status of this cluster. We can also set the variable like cluster db dot. This is a cluster will be a variable, and we will provide the get dot cluster. Okay, so this is the so this variable is set, then we can check its status like this. So it will tell us that it's this is the primary node, and uh, this is the primary node with the read-write access, and the status is that the cluster is not tolerant to any failure. So we need to add the other 2 nodes as well. So to add the other nodes, we will use this command. Add instance cadmin at mysql2.lab.com 3306. Add instance. Okay. Unable to connect to the target database. Please verify the connection setting. Make sure. Okay, let me check the other node if. Okay, I forgot. I forgot to configure this instance as well. So to have the cadmin user as well. So I will skip this part to have cadmin on both the nodes, and I will revert to the failed state, this one. So I will run this command again. So I have configured these both nodes as well with the required configuration and the cadmin user, which will be used for the cluster configuration. So I will run this command again, which has failed. Okay, this. So it is asking for the how do you want to copy the data. So the default is the clone, so it will clone all the data to the secondary node. Let us checking the configuration. The configuration is already there. It is now copying the files. because it is a very small database, then it will not take so much time. It will be done in seconds. It's ready now, and the recovery is already finished. The second node is added. Now we need to check the status. It will show us the secondary node, this one, and it is a read-only mode. This one is the read-write mode, but still the status is the cluster is not tolerant to any failures. So we will add the third node as well, which is MySQL 3. It is asking for the data copy. Default is clone. It will take some seconds to be completed. Okay, so if you have any questions, then you can contact me on my email address, which I have provided in the description. I will also paste it in the, I will tell you in the end of the video. You can contact me for any, support or guidance for MySQL, Oracle, DB2, and MongoDB, any database. I will provide support. Okay, so this node is also added. Now let us check the status. It is in read-only mode. The third one, this is also in read-only mode. This is in read-write mode, which is the primary. And the status is the cluster is online and can tolerate up to 1 failure. Okay, this is finished, and now we will configure the router. Okay, I have already the RPM minus IVH MySQL router. Oh, I will only install the router on this node for just the demonstration purpose. The recommended approach to have the router on the application nodes. I will now connect to the MysqlShell and will connect to the cluster admin, user. The password is already saved, so it will not ask for the password again. Okay, so we are not connected to the database using the cadmin user, and now we will configure we will set up account for the router to be used for the router configuration. So let us set the variable first. Okay, now cluster dot setup. If you push the tab button, it will show you the commands, right? So you can do the setup router, sorry, this one, and here you need to provide the name for the router. Say my router. Please provide one. Okay, so we need to set the password. Okay, so the my router account is set up now. Now we will bootstrap the MySQL router using this command. Okay, so I will execute this command to bootstrap the router. Cadmin is the user we have for the cluster configuration, and -d is the path where we want to have the router configuration files. Account which we have already set up, and user is the OS user we have. So if we haven't created the OS user, then it will throw us error. Okay, so there's a dash missing here. Okay, you are bootstrapping as a super user because I have not provided the OS user, so it is telling me that you are bootstrapping user the super user. They'll make all the result files consider privately owned by. I mean, it says that if you are bootstrapping user using the root user, then it will root will own all the files. Okay, So to avoid this, we need to create OS user. We will name it like router user. Okay, and then we will provide it here, router user. Okay, we will also change this into the home router user. Okay, so it is asking for the cadmin user password. And it is asking for the my router user, which we already have set up in the configuration. Okay, so the router is now configured, and the read write connections will go. Okay, so your local MySQL instance will have another port, and the router will have another port. So if you need to give the application these ports, right? I mean the 6446 and 6447 for read only, and 6446 for the read write connections. So all the files related to the router are kept here. Okay, so after the bootstrapping, we will start the router from this location where we have provided the location to keep all the configuration files here. And we'll start this command. We will check the log file in another tab. Router log. Okay, so when we start the router, it will show you the method, how will it how will it entertain the connections. 6446 will be go to the read write node, and 6447 will go to the read only mode. These are for the export of call, this one and this one. Okay, so these are the three nodes with the default port of each node, and router will entertain using the 6446 for read write and 6447 for read only. Let me create a database, and then we will check here. Okay, so that application is working fine. Let me first check the databases. Show databases. Only the databases are here. Let me also connect here MySQL root sp show databases. Okay, and then we will connect here as well. You can also connect there from MysqlShell as well. Okay, show databases. Okay, now create a database. Test. I think cadmin doesn't have the privilege to create a database, so I will connect using the root user. Let me check again, and let's see. Okay, now connected, create database, test. Database is created. Now we will check here. See, test database here, and now here. Sorry, test database is here. So okay, so this is the secondary node, and this is also the secondary node. This is the primary. If for some reason you want to have this one as the primary node, how will you achieve this? To do this, we have a command to cluster.set primary instance, set primary instance. Then we provide the host name of the other node, MySQL mysql2.lab.com with 3306. So it says that the instance 3 is secondary, which we have one touched. MySQL 1 becomes the secondary and MySQL become the primary. Okay, so if you get the status again, it will show you that MySQL 2 is primary, this one is secondary, and this one is also secondary. Okay, now we will try to connect to the database using the cluster admin, which has the the ability to connect remotely. We cannot use root here. We can use a user which has the remote privileges. So MySQL -u admin is the cluster admin user, which we are using for the cluster administration, and has already the remote privileges to connect remotely. Okay, the host is MySQL 1. The router is configured on MySQL 1, so we'll use the host MySQL 1 and then the port 6446. If we give the 6446, then it will route the connection to the read-write node, and if we go provide here 6447, then the connection will go to the read-only node. I will show you how it is connected to the specific node. Okay, so provide the password. Now it is connected. Now we will check the host name. You see it is connected to the read-write node, as I have already shown you in the log file. The lab2 is the read-write mode. So if I give here the 6447 and check the host name, you see, then it will go to the read-only node in round robin fashion. Okay, so we'll try another. We will test another scenario where we will stop the the second node, which is the read-write node, this one, and we'll check how it's connected, to which node it will connect. So let's try to stop this node. System stop MySQL D. This is the second node. In the router log file, it will show you that there is a lost connection with the second node, and it will show here that it is not available, and the read-write node is changed to MySQL 1, right? So if we try to connect to the the port 6446, which is the read-write port, and check to which now we'll check to which host it is connected. You see it is connected to the MySQL 1. Now if we start the second node again, and we will check what is happening in the router log file. This started. Okay, so it is again the cluster has refreshed, and node 1 is now read-write, and I mean the read-write mode was changed to this node. So when node 2 came back, then the read-only mode was assigned to that node. So that's how you configure MySQL InnoDB cluster with 3 nodes. If you have any questions, or do you need any support or guidance in the implementation of InnoDB or cluster, or do you need support in any other databases like Oracle, DB2, MongoDB, MySQL, MariaDB, then contact me on my email address mentioned in the description as well. Thank you.